Hey y'all. Welcome everybody. Selena is here. What? Kaylee is here. What's up, Selena? Andrell's here. What's up? I think people will start trickling in slowly. Really excited to be here with you all. Thank you for your patience. I heard from last week that Gab did a couple posture breakdowns, which is exactly where we need to be now with anatomy. We're going to start like getting a little granular. You all have all learned the arc of Sun A. You've learned the arc of Sun B. I've reiterated that it just takes time. It really does. It just takes time. You're going to get into I'm just going to let more people in. You're going to be getting into over time, noticing how the arc of Sun A and Sun B can lead you into creating your own flow. Um, and we need to be patient with that, but we also have to keep ourselves steady, steady on that grind of observing, of noticing, and especially when you do take those asana classes on your own, whether in person or with us in school. Um, so let's get into our opening meditation. And right before we drop in, just put in the chat a word or an emoji of how you're doing so that we have a pulse on our community. Um, Kaylee feeling the love. Yes. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I got to digest a little bit more. I'm in my next leg of research, inspired but a little tired, when you travel a lot. Okay, how about everyone else? If you're able to just say how you're doing. Not having a good day, sending you love on your day so far. Hopefully the rest of the day is turns up, you know what I'm saying, Andro? Yeah. Selena feeling sore back and a little tired. Joaquin feeling a little down or tired. That could be either one. Sending you love as well, Joaquin. Just down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Inspired but tired and having a little physical pain, but here, Lucy. Okay, so yeah, a spectrum from feeling the love, tired, and a little down, and maybe things aren't really happening for us. So let's make things happen for us. Let's come home. So get into your meditative seat. Whatever is resonating with you, and even if it's a shape that isn't an asana shape, right? If you just want to lay in some configuration on the floor or stand up, it's up to you. And then go to the exhale and fully allow that to land your body in this present moment. And breathe in normally, but keep going towards and following your exhales all the way through. And every time you inhale, you can still feel that buoyant, life-giving breath puff up your body. You feel the turn of the breath, and then you follow that exhale all the way through, just continuously landing for about 2 more of your own breaths.
And then on your final breath out, try to empty as much as you can. Oof, and feel your body kind of sink a little into the earth. And then on your next full body breath in, draw a deep breath to expand your spine towards the sky, feeling everything come towards your central channel, feeling lifted, heart over hips, head over heart. And then kind of open the mouth and really let some air go. Whoa. Seal the lips, breathe normally in and out through the nose. And today, locating somewhere in our body where we feel the most tension. So just on your own, scanning and locating any place where there might be pain, physical tension, or like a cramp or discomfort. And then sending the breath and especially the exhale into that space. And if you're not feeling any physical tension, breathe into the space where you're feeling the most emotional weight. And begin to infuse your breath with the Hridaya, the divine heart, letting that energy link. And then notice how that might flood your vision with a new sense of self, right? Like the way that we can observe the weight of our body, the physical sensation comes from a loving place. And then allow the breath to cloak you with a feeling of comfort. Recognizing that these down moments or up moments or moments in our life where things may or may not be working for us is lighting up for a very specific reason. And still following those exhales all the way out. And then taking your hands and gently putting your hands anywhere where you feel like your body, your heart, your spirit could use a little bit more love. And then press your hands into that space just a little bit so you can really feel into your touch. Take one breath there. And then take your hands and put it on another place that you feel like could use a little extra energy, a little bit of extra love, some softening. And then when you breathe in, feel your body push into your hands and your hands push into your body as you breathe out. And then last one more place where you feel like you could use some extra love. Just put your hands there. And then send the breath through the skin into your hands, hands to body. And then finally placing your hands on top of your heart, one palm on top of each other. Taking a deep breath in, pushing your hands and heart into one another. Deep breath in. And out, keep pushing your hands into your heart as if you could touch your heart and hold it. And then feel the beat of the heart. Seeing this as holding your own life in your own hands. Seeing this as holding the Hridaya, the divine heart that lives in all people, sentient things, beings. And then bowing the head to soften to that Hridaya. And setting any sort of intention for today, anything that you think you need. And then allowing the sweet water of unconditional love to pour down your spine. And with this, I bow to you, each and every one of you, my Hridaya to yours, asking and offering the sweet water to hold us, to contain us through our journey. That even if we feel like we're sinking, the unconditional love helps us float, helps us move past anything that's sticky or rough. But rather than just getting past it, we play. Rather than just writing it off, we dance, we observe, we study. And we come to embody this love through these practices, recognizing always that our practice serves as our greatest teachers. Om Hari Om Tat Sat Sat Nam Namaste. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right, y'all, coming back to the spaces that we're in. If you need a little bit extra moment to land, grab your waters, do your thing. So we did posture breakdowns. Who wants to tell me which posture breakdowns you did? Just go ahead, open dialogue sort of class.
I think we just did. I think we just did the breakdown of Sun A to Sun B. That's what we did.
Great. Specifically, did anybody have any questions lingering from that so we can close that loop? Thinking about the main big postures. Selena, go ahead.
Not well. Gabe said that. Okay, so we went through Sun A, but what he was having specifically me do too is when we get into a posture, we're explaining it inhale, exhale. We're saying the posture in Sanskrit, and then we are giving 2 to 3 what are they called, like
Cues.
cues, yeah. And that's, personally, I don't know about anybody else, but that's where I was kind of confused on the cues, and he said that we were going to work on the cues. He did go into chaturanga dandasana. Yeah, so that really helped because I wasn't sure if there was something, if cues were on us to, because they are kind of are, right? It's whatever cues, however we want to kind of express ourselves. So and then he did go into breaking it down, and Lucy too, videotaping ourselves, so that we can, or and hearing ourselves and doing, like listening to ourselves and doing the actual Sun olive Sun and practicing that way, but also breaking it down 5 minutes a day. And it just, everything that he was explaining really helped, so that we practice 5 minutes a day, hearing ourselves say it, doing it, working with someone else, and I can't remember some of the other ones. There's 2 more, I think.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're saying to me now that we are struggling with our cues.
Well, I was.
Yeah,
I don't know about
standard
how
sequence.
everybody else was, but I was
Okay,
just a little confused on the cues.
absolutely. And that's what we're here for. So I'm going to bring up the standard sequence. And then we're going to start and we're just going to nail down our cues all together right now. And
Could
so,
I ask one question?
uh-huh.
Where do you have you gave us the standard sequence, but you gave us a revised one, I think.
Yeah,
Where
okay,
can I?
so maybe the link is not working on the school platform because it should be in there within the Yoga Marga practicum, but I'm going to share it with you right now again. Copy
Okay.
link. You can just pull it up on your own. Okay, awesome. We've been in the anatomy of the root chakra and the sacral. And so still having this lens of anatomically thinking of our bones in space, our muscles, once again, our muscles supporting, our bones holding the structure, our bones being aligned with gravity, then our muscles don't have to work so hard. Just continuing to say that. Let's go to straight up, starting with Sun A variation, Samastiti. So starting with Samastiti, some people interpret Samastiti hands right by your side, some interpret it hands at heart center. No? It's an equal standing pose. So this is still equal. They're both, the same thing is going on both sides of the body, or your hands by your side. Okay. So Joaquin and Lucy have explained their breath, posture, cue. And that is the very basic directional thing that you can do in a yoga class. To get people to be more engaged internally, that's when you do engagement cues, right? Or refinement cues. We're going to stay away from refinement cues right now. We're going to get it so that you can just say breath, posture, cue, and in general, get people into a flow because it seems like we need to take it like little by little. Yeah. So, Sun A variation, saying that we're starting in Tadasana, we're landing them in their body. What is the breath, posture, and cue here? And just say it. It's not about being wrong or right because right, like it just depends on your intention. So if I'm landing them into their body, what is the breath that I'm going to have there? What is the posture name? And then what is the cue?
Well, if you're in Samastiti or what did you say?
Or Tadasana, mountain pose?
Tadasana is I would think it would be an inhale and an exhale.
Yeah, you can get them in an inhale and an exhale, right? Just like take a deep breath in and out, land in Tadasana. So then the cue would be, it could be, since you're landing them, exhale, Tadasana, hands by your sides.
Okay. hands by your sides, or
If
because
it's
I thought
Samastiti, hands at heart center.
Samastiti, I thought it was Samastiti was hands to the side and Tadasana was hands at the heart. But okay, it's either or.
The reason why I do Samastiti and / Tadasana is because there's a lot of conjecture about what each one is. Traditionally, Tadasana is hands right by your sides. Samastiti, from all of my teachers, would be hands at heart center. But some people say it's hands by your sides, right? Because this is it literally means equal standing pose. They're both equal. This is equal. This is equal.
Okay. Equal standing pose.
Mm-hmm.
Breath. You said breath cues and
Breath, posture, cue.
breath posture cues. Okay.
Okay, the next, so then you just go ahead and write that down on your own sheet or wherever you have saved it. Next one, Urdhva Hastasana. What is the breath posture and cue?
That's an inhale.
Inhale.
That's inhale, lift hands. You're not touching, but and then you look at the sun, or you could say, look up and look at the sun.
Yeah, so correct. The focus would be to gather their energy and raise it up, right? So inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Urdhva Hastasana means hands overhead, basically. So you should literally just say that. That's the breath posture and cue. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. What is the action? Hands overhead.
Okay.
Or what's another way to say that? Raise your arms. Breath posture cue. So we're looking for, instead of saying like, look up, see the sun, that's a deepening cue. And this will become more refined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you're deepening them now. Because sometimes hands overhead, they're still looking forward. Their energy is going out their body. But then now you want them to focus on the lift of energy, because this is lifting their energy up. The deepening cue would be gaze towards your thumbs, or the ceiling, or the sky, or the sun. Yeah, that would be your personality coming in. Okay. Next posture, Uttanasana, breath posture cue.
Uttanasana, coming down, exhale, you exhale, come hinge at the hips and touch your toes.
Yeah, those would all qualify. And typically for our directional cues, they're like just very few words. So exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Hinge at the hips. Fold. Very straightforward, very clear. Yeah.
The first line, the Uttanasana, hinge at the hips, forward fold, those things I've gotten. I even went into Chaturanga, because then after you exhale, do you inhale and have hands down at the ground, and you can either jump or step back into a plank?
Yep. If that's your next motive, yes.
But that's Chaturanga, no? The Chaturanga is the plank and stomach to ground, chest up, and cobra pose. That whole thing is Chaturanga, Dandasana.
So yeah, so let's break that down. Coming back to the sequence, let's just stay with the sequence so everything is clear and there's no more gaps. Yeah.
Okay.
The next portion of Sun A would be Ardha Uttanasana. We're going to do a half lift, because
right.
We just lift. Exhaled and folded.
So
and then now we're inhale, halfway lift. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift.
Halfway lift.
What is the action to half lift?
Straight back, or your hands are on your shins or your calves, and your back is straight.
Yeah, so we want to think directly about like what is the necessary action for them to get into that posture. So exactly. Yeah.
Then it's
Half lift,
exhale.
half
Oh,
lift
sorry.
pretty much is very clear. So when you say inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half lift, hands to shins or thighs, they can figure out from there that they lift halfway,
Mhm,
hands to shins or thighs, because what are they going to do with their hands? There, you're done
mhm.
with that.
Okay.
And so I'm just really trying to hone us and focus us more and more on like exactly what we need. And then you will add your own engagements. But yes, like
Mhm.
keep your core engaged, flat back, push into the earth with your feet to feel the energy through your crown. Those would be all the deepening cues. So then the next posture, building into the chaturanga flow. We just did an inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. What is the next breath posture cue for Adho Mukha Svanasana? How would I say that?
Oh gosh. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. If you did an inhale, then it's an exhale. But I'm
Yes,
trying to think of what that move is. The Ardha, that's oh gosh, is that the bend? That's a downward dog?
it's a down dog. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
down dog.
So
Okay.
exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. A lot of people know what to do already from there, but
Once you say
what
that,
is
yeah.
the action? Yeah, what is the action from a half lift to a down dog? What are my feet gonna do?
Your feet are going to jump or step back. Your hands are going to be placed on the floor. Before that, you place your hands on the floor and I don't know if you say hinge at the hips, but because that's kind of obvious, but yeah. Hands on
Yeah.
floor,
Mm-hmm.
jump or step back,
Mm-hmm.
and you're pushing back into your hips.
Yep. You
Okay.
could say all those things. And that's
Okay.
exactly, you got the major body parts. Amazing. So to flow that, in my experience, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, hands on thighs or shins. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Plant your hands, step your feet back, hips go up and back. Push
So
into
up
the
and
earth, hips
back.
go up and back. Yeah.
Okay.
Down dog, a lot of people kind of like the whole room will do it. Your whole room will be your example for it. Of course, online, you're gonna just you have to be a little bit more clear with those cues. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
what you just
Mm-hmm.
said was exactly what I said, right?
Yeah, I have been practicing, and
Yeah.
so there's in memory trying to just memorize it and say the words. So I'm good with the warm up now, and some of the I went off of another graph that you gave us
Mm-hmm.
of a little figure like people doing the positions.
Yeah, because that can kind of help, right, with
Yeah,
the
that really, yeah,
pictures.
that helps. So it went into the warm up to the chaturanga and then back to the warm up. It was just a little mini, and I thought, okay, I'll just start with this. So
Yeah.
I didn't do the rest, but I'm working on it. But I did, I
Yeah.
felt a lot more comfortable. Um, but when, like you said, when you're giving me the cues, there's basic cues, and then we're gonna have our own deepening, yeah, where we add in
Hmm.
our own personality. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was super helpful when we went over little by little going through those.
Yeah. It's just these little by littles that will really help. So now we have it all the way to down dog.
Okay.
Um, do you all want to
Me
do
too.
the rest of this on your own, or do you want me to complete this with you and then you do Sunbi or some other? I'll have we can do office time like together now, or I'm just trying to give you a few options. How are people feeling engaged in this moment? Like, I'm over this, I don't want to finish this right now, or let's just keep going and finish this.
No, thank you. Thank you for what we did.
Yeah. No, because I'm here. This is exactly what I'm here for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so finish that on your own, you know, like the rest of Sun A and Sun B at least this week. Because next week Gab is gonna be the one that's gonna be leading the YTT practicum. And we're definitely gonna be going into like the postural engagements even deeper, because that's where you're gonna learn to engage your students' bodies, awaken their muscles, and help them understand what they may be missing in those shapes. So thinking about this sequence, you all did your postural breakdowns and engagements for Chaturanga? Yeah. So we're feeling good about engagements for Dandasana, plank, and we're feeling good about low cobra, up dog, and down dog. That's what I'm gaining from that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. I'm gonna look at the chat really quick. Tadasana is hands down like a mountain. Urdhva Hastasana hands. Yes. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, I'm gonna share the sequence so that we can look at it and our eyes are all on the same thing. I don't know why it's not showing up. Okie dokie. Good job, y'all. Really good question, Selena. So yes, we are focusing on breath posture cue. The major cue is a cue that is an action for the major body parts that need to move, and it's a directional thing so that they know where to go. It sounds like you did engagement cues for Chaturanga, so I'm not going to focus on any of those. I'm going to go straight into Sun B. And then basically we already did for all of this. This is just one Sun A once again. And I put it here so that you basically can see if you're flowing this whole sequence, this is when you would do a Sun A twice. You would just read through this twice. Yes. If you're trying to get like a flow going on, breath and movement, one breath, one posture kind of thing. So then going into Sun B variation, the very first posture that we get to break down together is Utkatasana, chair pose. And this is actually a really good posture for us in our root chakra and sacral chakra exploration. Utkatasana can be thought of as the posture that you can put on in an early part of class to get people to tune into their thigh strength. And our Sun B variation, or our Sun B with Utkatasana early on, that's the main goal, is for us to turn on the major muscles of our body, which would be our thighs, our butt, and our core. It's all super engaged. Thinking about the root system, this is a place where, yes, we really want to turn that on early into the practice, especially if we're doing an active practice or like a practice that's super challenging or more heat building, because it's Utkatasana lightning bolt. It's going to be a posture that is heat building. I'm going to hold on. So I'm going to stop my share, and then I'm going to show in school what we want to focus on for that posture. And so we all understand, hopefully, that there is an asana section inside your classroom. And within that asana section, you can get all of the postural breakdowns. And it's made definitely to be something that you can refer to. Utkatasana chair pose is here. So we're clicking on it. And then now that we're reading on it, you can go, done. Yay. So can I have someone just read the description here that I've highlighted?
Tadasana, also known as chair pose or fierce pose, is a standing yoga posture that strengthens the legs, glutes, and core while also challenging balance and stability. Pose resembles sitting in an imaginary chair and requires strength and endurance.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Kaylee. So in Sun B, you're typically starting with Tadasana. That's true. Mountain pose, feet together, hips width apart, arms at your sides. Those are all pretty directional, basic cues. Boom. Right? That's a version of Tadasana. So like I said, the purpose of Utkatasana is to engage the legs and the core. This would be an example of your directional cues. Inhale, raise your arms overhead with palms facing one another or parallel. Keep the arms straight, shoulders down and away from the ears. That's all about your arms, which is interesting. But bend the knees, exhale, bend your knees, sending your hips back if sitting into a chair. Aim to keep your thighs as parallel to the floor as possible without compromising form. So this part right here, that is your main directional cue for getting into chair pose. This part right here that I'm going to highlight, that's a deepening cue. Is it? Yeah. And just repetition. I got you, you know? How would I say this faster? Or how would I say this without all these words? So from Tadasana, their hands are at by their sides. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, chair pose. Arms come overhead. Sit your hips back as if sitting into a chair. They'll automatically bend their knees. I would say it is important to cue to the feet and to the knees because in this posture, they could have their feet too wide, too narrow, but you have to give them that option. Thinking about if we're coming from Tadasana though, into chair pose, they've already chosen where their feet are going to be. So then that's why you don't have to cue that. That's why you would just say, inhale, chair pose, hips go back. Yeah, hands overhead, hips go back. But if you're seeing in the room, like the feet are doing weird things, one foot like that, then yeah, big toes can touch or feet can be hips width distance. It's always a great reminder. Thinking right now about our focus on Muladhara, root, and sacral, right? To engage them a little bit more, we would start cueing to what they're doing with their thighs and their knees, right? And their core. If you know that these students are super fresh and they're wobbling, they're shaking in their knees, you can invite them to take the whole class to take a block between their thighs and then to squeeze the block so that they are engaging their inner thighs as well. If you tell them to rock their weight back more into their heels, they're going to start using their core more rather than their tippy toes to hold them in shape. And we want to center their balance onto the whole foot technically, and telling them to put more weight into their heels will take them away from putting all their weight into the balls of their feet. When we also rock a little bit back, we're going to notice our core engaged. So let's try that all together. If you can, just stand up really quick in Tadasana. And And then just like with the loving kindness eyes and curiosity, land your feet into Tadasana, feet hips width distance, and then do all those things that we've been talking about pushing into the floor, receiving the floor through your core, having a tall spine, hands by your sides, right? Exhale completely. Inhale, chair pose. Hips go back, arms by your ears. Good. And then rock your weight a little bit back into your heels and see what engages. And then rock your weight into your toes and then see what happens. Right? And then now rock your weight a little bit more into your heels. Tuck your tailbone just slightly, knit your ribs in. Pretend like you're squeezing a block with your thighs. Yeah. And then that's like the full engagement. And then if you feel like people's arms are like whatever, then you can tell them to squeeze their shoulder blades, drop their shoulders away from their ears. So you can go ahead and write that down, anything that you've felt or learned about chair pose just now. I will say, I will give you that it is really effective to tell them to put more weight into their heels and to knit their ribs in. Why am I saying that we need to tell them to knit their ribs in rather than engage their core? When we say knit your ribs in, what I'm trying to get at here is that when I'm in chair pose, I know it's kind of blurry, and you can kind of see this arch in my back here, chair pose, because I've lifted my arms and I've sit myself back into the chair. I want them to knit their ribs in to engage their upper core so that instead of splaying my energy out that way, I'm containing my energy and then I'll engage my core, which is going to engage the whole thing actually. And it's going to help me protect my low back because a lot of people have like this natural anterior tilt to their pelvis where their pelvis, if I'm looking at body to side, their pelvis is tilting forward slightly, their butt is coming out a little bit more. And actually that's going to dump all the way into their low back. When I say knit your ribs in, the front of their body is going to engage and that pelvis is going to tuck just slightly. So I'm giving you the secret sauce right now. When you're cueing Utkatasana, knit your ribs in, weight in your heels. And you'll get them so far. Those are like the two secret sauce cues that I would say are for that one. And then if you want them to turn up the heat, of course, lower your booty, sit back into the chair, sit into the chair a little lower. Encourage them to do that if you're doing like a fire building class. If that's not the intention, you don't even have to go there. And then the rest of this will give you a lot of information about Utkatasana. Okay, back to the standard sequence. We already know Uttanasana, all of our cues for that. We know Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. We go into a Chaturanga for Sun B. And then they're back in a down dog. Up dog. This is down dog. From here, we're going to go into Anjaneyasana, Crescent Lunge. So let's just do it right away right now. Get into a Crescent Lunge shape. You can go from down dog into a Crescent Lunge, or you can literally stand up, step your left foot back, and then keep your right leg forward. Yes. And so for this one, in Anjaneyasana, I wish this room was a little bit bigger. You can hear me, right? In my lunge shape, if I were to like have things to focus on, in my lunge, this right thigh ideally is parallel to the earth, but not everyone's going to be there. The right knee is stacked over the right ankle. The back heel, your back foot, is spiked. So it's like when I say your back heel is spiked, your foot is like this, right? So from Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge with my knee up, this version, right thigh fully engaged, pressing into the earth. Back heel is spiked. Back left thigh goes towards the sky. And so the reason why I'm saying that is because technically the back heel, the back leg, a lot of people will be doing this with a bend in their knee, which is technically not wrong. But if we're working towards like really refined engagement, we want this back thigh to press towards the sky. And then that's going to give you the full engagement for your lunge shape. Heart over the hips, head over the heart, knit your ribs in to draw everything towards the core. Yeah, arms overhead. Breathe into that for just like a breath or two. Feel what you feel. And then come back to the screen. Good job. Good job, good job, good job. I don't think Anjaneyasana is listed here, which is kind of weird. Okay, so I'm going to look up a picture of Anjaneyasana, and then we're going to break down the engagement cues for that one. And this one's like, we can spend quite a bit of time in this high lunge shape because there's so many things, so many postures that segue from that one. So let's do it. Okay, sharing my screen. So here you're going to see many versions of Anjaneyasana. The way that I learned Anjaneyasana is that the back knee is down. That's like the classic shape, right? When we say high crescent lunge, what we're referring to is the back knee coming off of the earth. So let's compare this person's Anjaneyasana and then this person's Anjaneyasana. So these two back to back. What are the differences that you see? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like. Between this person's and this person's.
A deeper lunge.
Mm-hmm.
More
Yeah. More, what was that?
dynamic.
More depth, more dynamic. Yeah, this person looks like they're about to do something else pretty soon. Like they're about to flow into something.
And like they're really pressing into the front foot
Mm-hmm.
compared to the other person.
Yeah, and so, yeah, exactly. This person's really deepening and opening, and so they're really deepening their hip flexor. They're really opening their hip flexor here, I would say. Yeah, that if this is the left leg that's bent and the right leg is back behind, they're opening up that right hip flexor real good. Is this where we want everyone to be? Not necessarily. They can go there if they want to, if they feel like they can. But you notice that this thigh is not parallel to the earth. They're really deepening on their own. They're making that choice. There's even a back bend, a deep back bend here. Yeah, which you can go into. Versus this person's crescent lunge and this person's crescent lunge. These two are more alike, even though this one's knee down. The thigh is almost parallel. Like I said, not everyone's going to actually have their thigh be parallel, but we energetically, we say that with an energetic goal, right? To me, energetically, her right thigh is parallel. But her anatomy is showing me, like this is the way, how far forward she can step forward or what she can deal with for the day. Great engagement of that back thigh. The back thigh is definitely pressing towards the sky. Heart relatively over the hips with the head relatively over the heart, right? Not as much of a back bend. There is a slight back bend. I might see or say like tuck your tailbone just slightly, just to see if they're really dumping into that low back. And if nothing changes, then that's just how it is, right? They've got beautiful dumps in their truck. So this one would also be like a very what we would say is this is opening the hip flexor. I would say postures that are more like angular, like this here, or like for this one, there's more of an engagement of the hip flexor, a goal of engaging the hip flexor rather than opening it up. Because if you do your own practice later and you tell someone to dip their hip like in a cow lunge like this, you're working to stretch it. But you have to lift your hips back up to this parallel position with the thighs engaged to re-engage the hip flexor instead of just stretching it open, right? This posture would be way more primed for them to lean forward into airplane. They would be way more primed to go ahead and get into warrior two. They would be way more primed to, because the hip flexor is engaged, to do the next action. This person looks like they're really in themselves, which is great. They maybe have really wide open hips. They want to go there, but they're going to go through a bigger range of motion in order to shift forward because their hips, they're going to have to really push into their thighs to lift their body if they wanted to go into an airplane, to step forward, to do anything. Whereas this one, all the proper skeletal alignments are there for them to do the next thing. So let's nail down the major cues for Anjaneyasana. Who wants to tackle this? So I'm in a down dog. I want to cue them to step their right foot between their hands. And I'm going to say Anjaneyasana. What are the things I need to say to get that done with the best ability of breath posture cues? There's going to be several cues, right? Take your time to kind of think about it. From a down dog, what would I do or say to get them into Anjaneyasana?
The exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Inhale, arms raise overhead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do with my back knee? What's my intention? Like, let's say you pick an intention, knee up or down. That would be the final thing you would say. So say that whole thing again so that we can just hear gracefully the whole cue. Yeah.
Okay. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Inhale, raise your arms overhead. What'll be uh exhale, keep your back knee lifted.
Yeah. You don't have to cue breath again. You could just say back knee stays up. So beautiful. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Inhale, arms overhead. Keep your back knee up. You could choose before you even lift the hands, you could do the knee first because maybe we're thinking of roots first. So exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Keep your back knee up, arms come overhead. Beautiful. Yeah. And then after all that, they're in the position, and then now you're looking at your class, and then you're saying the deepening cues. Press into your right thigh parallel to the earth. Back heel spikes up. Back thigh presses towards the sky. You want their spine to, you're doing all of this work with their lower half of the body. Why? Because when we stabilize the hips, when we stabilize the legs, sink them in, their heart can be free, their head can rise, their core can be lifted, and they're getting a lot of information if you're taking them to that place. So we've nailed down our directional cues. Kaylee just said all of them. Let's think about our engagement cues now. Let me see if I can find an anatomical Anjaneyasana version. Or I could say Crescent Lunge. Here, this one's beautiful. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Okay. So I've just said, exhale, put your right foot between your hands. In this case, it's your left foot. Exhale, put your left foot between your hands. Plant your left foot between your hands. Back knee stays up. Inhale, arms come overhead. And if we want to stick with deepening their engagement to keep them free here, I'm going to stay in their lower half of body for a second. Left thigh is parallel to the earth. So then it's going to lower their left thigh. Everything here should start engaged. You could say press through your front foot into the earth to engage your left thigh. Boom. All of this turns on. Right? Sometimes we can cue to the hips if we really feel like people are just not getting it. But if you notice here, there is an angle to their hips. But we want their hip points to be square to the front of the room. This is actually showing me a warrior two back foot. So imagine that this back heel is spiked, heel off the earth, and then the knee is facing forward and down, yeah? So then we would cue to their hip points. The eyes of your hip sockets face forward, hip points. Notice and breathe into your hip points and notice if one hip is a little bit up or down. Kind of make that even on your own. And then they're going to go into their own senses. Anatomically, it may not look like much changes, right? Different bodies. And so I would nail down these few engagement cues, like the secret sauce cues for Crescent Lunge. You want them to engage this front thigh. So what I just said was push into your front foot, or you could say front thigh parallel to the earth. In this case, I would say left thigh parallel to the earth. Press into your front foot. Knee over ankle. That's a big secret sauce cue because people are going forward and back. But you can tell when somebody's doing their own thing. For the back leg, back heel is spiked. That's a big one. Because in Crescent Lunge, we want them to be mobile on their back foot. The weight needs to be even between both of these legs. Even though this leg is going to be taking naturally more of the weight, we still want this back leg to be engaged. And then the other secret sauce cue is telling this back thigh to press towards the sky. And then from the legs, now you cue into the hips. Hip points face the front of the room. These are all deepening cues. Heart over hips, head over heart. To engage and then get into the shoulders, you're always going to tell them to drop their shoulders, squeeze the backs of their shoulder blades. If you think that they're being flimsy with their arms, imagine like you're pressing a block between your hands. Gaze goes up. The moment you tell them that their gaze goes up, it becomes a balance challenge. And so gaze up would be like the advanced level of that posture, or to really get them deeper, just sink them in. Yeah. Otherwise, gaze is forward or close their eyes. That'll be the last cue. So those are your secret sauce engagement cues. Okay, we're about done, but this lunge breakdown is big. It's the biggest thing to a lot of the yoga practices, because the lunges and Utkatasana chair pose, like I said, are the fire building and the stabilization. We can learn a lot from our legs and our thighs. To reiterate, we're opening up the hip flexor on that back leg here, and then we're strengthening the entire thigh and leg here. And you're getting some deep work within the sacrum and then into the core. And then, of course, always knit your ribs in, engage your core, hug to center, because technically with these postures, people like to splay out, which is not wrong if that's the intention, to be a heart opening class. But still, we want to wrap it back in. Instead of splaying your energy, we want to teach them to engage. Yeah? Okay. That's it for today. Pretty much. So this week, continue to finish off as much as you can. And I know we're all in different places. I have so much compassion for that. Trust me. As much as you can, look at the standard sequence and just start filling in the blanks. That was intended for you to do it on your own. And with less of the idea of like, I need to nail this right, but just like, notice what's important for you right now in your body to understand those shapes. Try to focus on the breath, the posture, and then the anatomical directional cue versus the engagement. But now you know, just now you know like what we're kind of looking at and how we're starting to build. And invite yourself into looking at the peak wave. Invite yourself to look at the rest of the sequence, because it still looks like a lot because every posture is listed, but you might realize that there's actually not much left anymore. Once we take out all the things we've done already, you only have a couple more postures to really break down. It's so much closer than you think. It truly is. It's already happening for you. Okay, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but you can hang back if you have questions. And then there's the 1 o'clock Mindful Mondays. I'm going to be in rehearsal. I'm in Seattle, so if y'all trying to come see me, let's make that happen.
Oh, I thought you were in LA.
No, I'm done with LA. That was last week. I'm in Seattle now.
You were here and didn't tell me?
It wasn't LA, it was Orange County.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay.
Irvine.
I thought
Yeah.
that was last month when you went to OC.
Nah.
Okay.
It's this. Trust me, Joaquin, you're going to be one of the first people that I hit up in LA, because I do not know what to do with myself when I go out there. It's so nutty. I want to see LA through your eyes. But yeah, so make that standard sequence your friend and just fill out the blanks there.
Come practice it on Wednesday.
Yep. Come practice it on Wednesday.
Selena did last week. She did great.
I'll be there.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm free all day. If you want to like hit me up, you want to meet right now, teach me. Get the words out. I'm here.
Yep, just get the words out, the stumbles, because that's literally what this space is for. All the little stumbling blocks. Okay, good job. For real. Selena, Kaylee, Lucy, Andrea, Joaquin, all of y'all, good job putting those questions in, getting into the granular. We'll keep going. Okay, I have to
Awesome.
go.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
Much love. Good job.
Mhm.